There you go. Okay, so I'm wondering, with all the information that's been given in 2 days, because there actually has been quite a bit, if there's any thoughts or questions that are percolating overnight, and also the write-up that I did to certainly the email that I sent out today with the video and the podcast. It reminded everyone that colors are in common, some symbols are in common, words in the mantras might be in common, so we want to remember to kind of cross-pollinate ourselves, or that if I say something about a deity of a particular color, or describe something about a color, and we haven't talked about your deity yet, let's say, but your deity is that color. You want to listen up, because the same things will apply. And the same with words, you know. So are there any thoughts or questions before we dive into today?
I had a question. You presented 3 actually different mantras for Tara, and they all had a different emphasis. And when I looked at Maitreya, you sent me the long one and I have a shorter one, and they both have a different emphasis as well. Can you change mantras depending on what emphasis you want to project? Is that how you would use them?
Yes, exactly. And the Tara mantra is a really good example in that regard.
Could you repeat the question?
I can. The question is related to the mantras, that when there is more than one mantra for the deity, they clearly have different emphases, each mantra, although they're all about the same deity. So, at essence, can we shift the mantra? How do we choose which mantra to use? And even, can we shift the mantra as we're working with it during the week or whatever, during the day? The answer is yes to all of the above. You can shift. And how you choose is either as I give clues to the mantra, or you do your own research and you find more about the mantra, then you would choose accordingly. So let's look at the Tara mantra again, briefly. The root mantra, Om Tara Tu Tara Ture Svaha, that's the root mantra. That is about her swiftness, as was described yesterday, her quickness to attend, and also it's about the emptiness of self. So if we are in a situation, let's say, even where, let's say, doubt or clinging or attachment or some sort of thing like that is coming up for us, then we could, if we were generating Tara, we could just start saying Om Tu Tara Ture Swaha, and that might help us undo that clinging, undo that fear, undo that doubt, that kind of thing. If we want to wish that into humanity, her swiftness of her compassion, her fullness of her compassion, and wish into humanity that humanity also swiftly and easily undo its clinging to ego, then we might choose that mantra. Equally so, if we are her next mantra, so for all Taras, right, is Om Namitare Namehara Hom Hara Svaha. Om Namitare Namehara Hom Hara Svaha. So that one essentially has to do with remove, Hara Hara. It cuts through the ethers with the Hom. It's her wrathful or semi-wrathful mantra, and it has to do with the emptiness of phenomenal existence. So again, a clinging or a craving is that we're clinging or craving to something phenomenal, in phenomena. So we could use it then if we want to help humanity undo the same. We could use that. The other mantra was specifically for white Tara. My guess is that part of the words in it that I don't know, but my guess is that they have something to do with long life. They could also have to do with white Tara is also 7-eyed Tara, right? The 5 extra eyes and then the 2 eyes. So that is Chinta Chakra Tara. Yeah, Chinta Chakra Tara. 5 extra wheels. Wheels are eyes, chakras. So 5 Chinta Chakra. Chinta Chakra Tara. And so the mantra might also have something to do with perceiving through. But I don't know that for a fact. I'm reading into that. So as an example as well, we have this Yushnisha on the wall. Yushnisha is of the will aspect. And so I would more than likely think of the wrathful, semi-wrathful mantra when I'm going to practice the Yushnisha. But I tend to just roll them together because I put all 3 of the taras together that I'm working with. Are there any other questions before we get going with the rest of the feminines? And then we'll see what kind of time we have to get into the masculine deities. I mean, Avalokiteshvara, we talked a little bit about, I might say a little bit more about standing Avalokiteshvara. Okay, then there was the possibility of the mother of the world, of Kuan Yin. Kuan Yin has been chosen by some. And Mary, mother of Jesus, Mary, mother of the world. So let's just say something brief about the mother of the world. With the mother of the world, we have, there's a Maha, right, a great, profound quality in that. Rourke painted her predominantly blue for a reason. That reason is the love, compassion, nature of our planet. Blue has to do with space. Yes, absolutely. So, it's space emptiness. Space emptiness. So out of space emptiness and her samadhi, her supreme samadhi, she creates all beauty of the world. The mother of the world is pictured on a throne, on a lotus throne, but in regal posture, her feet down. So we would apply to that there is a stepping into manifestation. She's always at the ready to step into manifestation. And we would also say that at least some of her is constantly in manifestation. Which of course is true, that's our planet. The way Rourke painted her, which I assume, Catherine, is what you probably would use as your mandala, then we have a lot of stars, and we have a lot of stars in the ascended Mary as well. Mary on the moon. Is it on the moon? Yeah, with the stars, with the snake and the stars around it. Is it the world? Okay, thank you. So we would just contemplate about the sky worlds, the pure lands, it would be the Buddhist term, about the highest planes of the cosmic physical plane, and then of course, I think we should always contemplate that the cosmic astral and the cosmic Buddhic plane are the source points of our cosmic physical. So then the Divine Mother principle would be related to cosmic astral, to be sure, and it's not that Divine Masculine should not be associated with cosmic Buddhic, but it's a fair bet to put cosmic Divine to Buddhic, cosmic Buddhic. So to me, the point there is that the stars are telling us something in these depictions of the divine feminine. She is robed in all three of those instances, Kuan Yin, Mother of the World, and in the Madonna, all images of the Madonna. So robe, it always speaks of royalty. It speaks of being veiled. And it speaks of the power of being veiled. So the first aspect is veiled by either the third or the third and the second. Grace did some research on some possible prayers or mantras, Terry, for Mary. And there's a lot to choose from. She found some. You could easily find some if that's where you were going to go. When I told her that you and I had said something about the Magnificat, she thought that was a really good choice. So, I am the handmaiden of the Lord. Thank you. And of course, with the Mother of the World, we also have, you want to just show it to me one more time? We also have rock and stone. The matter principle, the earth principle is really enunciated. With that, we have that too with the Madonna. Certainly with the ascended Madonna, in that she stands on the earth. She stands on the ball of the earth. So the matter principle is enunciated. Any thoughts or questions on those before we move on? Then as far as standing Avalokiteshvara, just a few things, the same mantra, Om Mani Padme Hum, unless somebody with their research has found otherwise. Again, anytime that we have a deity that's standing, they're either wrathful or they are compassion. They are out and out either wrathful or out and out compassion. And Yushisha might be the only exception to that I can think of really fast. Wrathful would include all the dakinis because of their katrika. Katrika? Katrika. So their implements are all sharp. That kind of thing. So let's hold that aside for a minute and let me just do the broad brush stroke, and then we'll I don't want to get bogged down in the exceptions. There are exceptions, but I think the broad brush stroke is going to be important to us to know that in general, standing beings are beings of compassion. So Avalokiteshvara in all his forms is, of course, the embodiment and the emission of compassion. And so when we see the standing, again, like I think I said the other day, it's about upstanding in compassion, the forthrightness of compassion, the alignment to compassion, these kinds of things. We just can feel that inside ourselves. It also says that compassion stands for, stands with, understands, all those kinds of things are in that as well. There's something about action with standing. It itself is an action. And we also want to always have in our minds that compassion is an action. So compassion is the action line. In Tibetan Buddhism and Tibetan iconography, compassion is the masculine line. Wisdom is the feminine line. Compassion is the action line. Compassion is method. Action again. So there are, of course, lots of ways that compassion is represented within the imagery, including multiple arms and things like that, multiple eyes, etc. But at essence, with Avalokiteshvara and his various standing forms, there's 1,000-armed, there's 8-armed, there's a 6-armed. I don't think there's a 4. No, I think the 4-armed is sitting. So with those, as I think I said the other day, a being that has 6 arms is the 6 perfections. A being that has 8 arms is representing the 8 spokes of the wheel of Dharma, the Eightfold Path, generally. And 10 arms can represent the 10 stages of the Bodhisattva path, the 10 Pure Lands, the version of the 10 perfections. It's a number of perfection itself, 10. And so when we expand to 1,000, 1,000 is representing the crown chakra. And it is also just representing, you're supposed to get the idea of endless or boundless, limitless. Multiple heads on the deity, which Avalokiteshvara is often pictured with. Multiple heads on a deity refer to, again, omniscience, or I should say multiple arms, can mean omnipresence, doesn't necessarily, but can. So again, you would put these statements that I'm making now across the board. Any deity with multiple arms, any deity with multiple eyes, that kind, multiple heads, this kind of thing. So back to multiple heads. Omniscience. Through time and space. So in all directions, space. Through all senses of time. We also have the idea usually of the Pure Lands, or states of samadhi, or particular emptinesses.
Multiple heads?
Still on multiple heads. Usually, in the multiple heads near the top, it isn't always the topmost. But near the top, there will usually be a wrathful face and a serene or benevolent face. The wrathful face is the form of the deity himself or herself. So, in the standing Avalokiteshvara, we have 1,000 arms standing Avalokiteshvara here at Spirit Fire, and the wrathful form is Mahakala. You don't need to know the detail, I'm just telling it to you. Is Mahakala, who is the wrathful form of Avalokiteshvara. And then, furthermore, there probably is a red face higher up, a red serene face, which would be Amitabha. So, whatever of the 5 Buddha families that this being is aligned with. So, the reason to give you that information is, again, as we come to play with these qualities, get to know these qualities, meditate, contemplate, hold them in our mind through the day, these kinds of things, we'll first all start with totally the beginner level. Here's the essence, here's the mantra, here's the primary quality. Maybe 1 or 2 things about, Avalokiteshvara, white. White means purity. Purity of what? Purity of compassion, because he's a being of compassion. So we would just start with there and know that if you're doing four-armed Chenrezig, that four-armed Chenrezig is the four immeasurables, as I already described. I think it did, right? Mm-hmm. So the four immeasurables, and that's it. I mean, that's a lot. That seems like a lot, but in essence, it's not. The purity of compassion manifests through the four immeasurables. And the words of power for that are Om Mani Padme Hum. So that's actually pretty easy. And we would hold that. But as we continue with our practice and our contemplations and holding it, full front, and we start actually feeling these qualities more pervasive and all of that, then we might go, oh, compassion. I wonder what is there a more refined version of that or something like that? And if we had interest, that would lead us to Amitabha, of the red Buddha family. And I'm not going to go into detail here. But the clue to that is not only that Amitabha shows up in almost all Chenrezig or Avalokiteshvara tankas, almost all. But we would look at Chenrezig holds a lotus. And Amitabha is the lotus family. I think, yeah. I'm pretty sure. Yes. So the whole thing can start to morph and unfold for us in time, because then compassion is constantly unfolding. Hence, that's why Avalokiteshvara holds the lotus. And holds that out to us, this constant unfolding quality of compassion. But then as we start to align ourselves more to the fullness of the energy, which then would automatically start to, bring in a curiosity and what else this is aligned with and all that, then guess where we're going to end up? We're going to end up at red with passion. Well, we have to address our passions in order to actually live compassion. So again, there actually is a flawlessness to the whole thing as you start to expose yourself more and more to it. The Buddhist philosophy and the gift of the Buddha is very simple. It's been stated. It's all in our mind. Everything is just telling us about our mind. And that at essence, our mind is compassion and brilliance. That's all. Bring it forward. And doing that will change everything. So we're just given all these reminders and all these shapes and forms. Any thoughts or questions so far from anybody?
Can you explain maybe the difference between the deities and the deities? I know that, like you said, we have each one is a quality of an innate quality within us, but the deities seem to be are they a different family along a different family line, or I see oftentimes they will change, they'll use the word Dakini and Yogalini. So, well, I know there has to be a difference, because they wouldn't spell them the same way.
Right.
Say them the same way, unless one was Tibet and the other one was Sanskrit. So,
Okay. Let's take up that much. Let's take up that much, and then if there's more, we'll get to it. Does somebody have something over here?
Well, I just happened to be reading the Tibetan glossary of terms in this
Do you have to
handbook,
speak
and-
louder
Okay.
so I don't have to repeat it?
It says Dakini, literally one who travels through space, which symbolically means one who is immersed in the experience of emptiness. A Dakini is a female yogini who has attained supreme accomplishments, siddhi, and who may manifest as a guardian of the teachings or as a fully enlightened wisdom goddess. Dakinis are usually represented in naked dancing posture and adorned with 5 bone ornaments. Their male counterparts are known as Daka. In Hindu iconography, Dakinis are frequently identified as the blood-drinking witches that accompany wrathful goddesses such as Kali.
Hopefully you got all that.
yeah, that was interesting that dakinis really have come. From what she says, seems to be have achieved even the yoganinis practice, and
Yes,
have gone beyond that into space.
they are thus gone. They are definitely thus gone.
Yeah, they're gone.
Uh-huh.
answers.
You can say that again.
Well,
Okay, so back.
Sky
So then,
answers.
right. So then your
Oh,
question.
yeah.
Your question is actually simple, and it's perfect in its timing, because in the Buddhist iconography and in the Buddhist philosophy, there's a basic duality, and that is compassion and wisdom. Dakinis and I think almost all the deities that we're going to talk about after the ones that have been talked about, the ones that have been talked about are largely compassion, and now almost all the others are wisdom. Dakinis are the wisdom line as well. A dakini is following upon what was read. You can think about dakini in 2 or 3 ways. And first separate out the word yogini from dakini. Just put it aside for a minute. A dakini is a fully realized female, supreme enlightenment. That one thing means that they can emanate whatever they want and however they want, in as many ways as they want. There's no limitation. They have supreme siddhi, S-I-D-D-H-I-S, and the supreme or ultimate siddhi is enlightenment itself, complete enlightenment. The second way to So that unto itself is its own contemplation about dakini. They have achieved supreme, superb, complete enlightenment. Hence, they are naked. They are naked awareness. Not that they hang out in it. They are naked awareness. And so they are naked. They are always pictured naked. That's a clue to you that any being that's pictured naked, male or female, is representing that supreme state of naked, pristine awareness. Should I keep going? Or you got something, Kathy?
Well, that movie that we saw last night.
Yeah, you was naked a lot too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that tells you something.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
That was good, Kathy. That was really good. Yes, that tells you something. Okay, the second level for dakini, or second big meaning of dakini, is remember when we talked about green Tara specifically, we talked about Buddha karma. Karma not being the colloquial karma, but karma meaning cause and result. That if we put the right causes in motion, we are guaranteed of beneficial results. So if we keep doing that regarding our spiritual path, then ultimate achievement of reality is assured. In Buddhism, that's called Buddha karma. That guarantee is called Buddha karma. The karma is the cause and the result. Well, what is the goal? The goal is Buddhahood. So that's why it's called that. Dakini also represents that energy. With Tara, the presentations of Tara, and most specifically green Tara, that generally is done through the compassion line and ways of compassion. Nurturance, caring, showing up swiftly when we need help, and things like that. With the Dakinis, how do you think it shows up?
Wisdom.
Yes, along the wisdom line. What does that mean? They can't see that, Jen.
Oh, well, the sword of insight, that lightning flash energy that is. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
sorry.
It shows up with sword, with flame, with things that flail the skin. It's the implements that show up like that to present to us that we must cut at the roots of delusion. As we cut at the roots of our delusion, we also sever the moorings of collective illusion. So it's as if humanity's on Noah's Ark, on the sea of samsara, but it's moored to this sea of samsara. We can't get off, but we don't get off the boat and get to the other shore. You see, so the Dakinis will cut at the roots of delusion and illusion. I don't know if I said that well.
Blood drinkers as well.
We'll get to that in number 3. So then, saying that very simply then, the Dakini is the very energy of enlightenment. The very energy of the blazing light of enlightenment.
Is green Tara that also, since she's that green?
Green Tara is that also, but again, along the compassion line generally,
Right.
and the Dakinis are along the wisdom line. Mm-hmm. There's only one game in town. It all goes to the same place, right? All roads lead to Rome, right? Right. Lastly, the Dakinis are empowerment. If we are fortunate, they do show up to help. And so they assist. They assist on the path, but again, they assist in the way already described. Because they have achieved, supreme enlightenment, but they are the energy of that. So again, there's always flames around the Dakinis. She's a Dakini. Yeshe Momo. She's a Dakini, so she's standing and dancing in pure flames. When you look at Yushnisha has, although she's not considered a Dakini in the usual way, but there are other indicators that indicate that she could be looked at in that way, and the primary one is there's 2 primary actually, all of the flames all around her, and complete omniscience, complete omnipresence, and complete omnipotence. Since all the omnis are also represented at essence, then she is a Dakini as well, but represented particularly. And I think she's the only one that is represented like that. So I'm not saying that Ushnisha Sitapatra is a Dakini. I'm saying that she alone has certain qualities that you can tilt your head. So getting to the blood drinkers. Just one more thing on the assistants, if you will. One of the ways that manifests is that in higher tantric practices, the dakinis take a place in the three jewels. They take the place of the sangha. When you're in a tantric practice, the three jewels change. At essence, they're the same, but they change to the guru, the yidam. The yidam is your deity, and the dakinis, plural.
Would you say that one more time?
The guru
Guru.
is for Buddha.
Yeah.
The yidam, yidam, which means just meditation deity, is for the Dharma. And I'll say why very briefly in a second. And dakini, or dakinis plural, take the place of the sangha.
Okay.
The guru is the Buddha embodied. If we are fortunate enough to have a spiritual teacher in our life, that is the Buddha embodied for us. The yidam, the meditation deity in a tantra practice, is your teacher in the respect of those who are taking on this type of practice, we are going to hold the qualities of the deity forefront. So in that way, those qualities and the image of the deity, holding that forefront throughout our day, is going to constantly teach us. So it's that simple. And the dakini dakinis plural, in taking the place of the sangha, we are aligning ourselves to the pure power of cutting through our issues, our bullshit. We're just aligning, instead of aligning to people who are doing it and aligning to people who have done it, we're aligning to the actual energy of doing it. Does that make sense? So then the blood drinkers, Glenn Mellon says a really great thing about that from a historical point of view, and I don't know if I can say it correctly. It's not long or anything, I just don't know if I remember it correctly. But it has something to do with the pre-Davidian culture in India. So it's a pre-Indus Valley, and that they were the high magicians, all female priestess cult, and that when the Aryans came in with their warlike nature, then in order for them to continue, it's the same story of course in many parts of the world, a similar story, then in order for them to continue with their high practices, which brought about high realization as well and also protected the Mother Earth, that they took to the cremation grounds, they took to the charnel grounds, because there no one else would go there because they were so afraid. But they, not only because of their magic and because of their alignment, they were unafraid. And so that is him with all his historical knowledge. He puts that forward, and it's wonderful. It makes a lot of sense. So that's from kind of a cultural place. And then from a symbolic place, dakinis hold a skull cup. All dakinis hold a skull cup. In fact, almost, I think all wrathful beings hold a skull cup. Again, wrathful being the wisdom line. The skull cup is a very easy symbol to recognize. It just means our head, right? The skull is our head. So therefore it means our mind. We have to empty our mind. And Dakini is always shown like this, drinking, getting ready to drink from a tipped skull cup. They're going to empty the skull cup into their open mouth and, dance the dance of life. So we have to realize that the only way to dance fully in the creative forces, in the white magic that we've been talking about for a few days, the only way to do that is to empty our mind of all its limitations, of all its egoity, just empty our mind. And then any negativities, any shortcomings, anything that we would label anything as other than blissful and beautiful and perfect, well, all that's emptied out. So the skull cup is always depicted with really usually nasty stuff in it. But we are, again, that is simply the mask, the image, the veil, that if we were to, in fact, understand that it's empty, that is to say, our projections onto it, well, that'll taste really gross, is actually empty. That's a projection of our mind. Then, of course, when we drink it, it is pure nectar, and it is the nectar of enlightenment.
Did anybody choose a dakini to work with?
Vajrayogini is a dakini. So I've certainly
one
worked with
skull
it for
cap
a
I saw had the eyes, the ears, the
Right.
nose. That would represent our preferences or our likes and dislikes of what smells or
the senses.
senses. That's
Represents
it.
the five
Yeah.
senses.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's long can't be orange one, but she's on
Right.
sort of
Mhm.
of
So again, all of our preferences, our likes, our dislikes, as you were just saying, they are predicated upon our five senses. So as we and the five senses, of course, also hooked straight into the five aggregates. And we haven't done a teaching on that, so I'm not going to stream into that. But in essence, it's just the parts, the aspects of our sense of self. Remember, the sense of self is a collection of thoughts and desires and wishes and hopes and disappointments and all that kind of thing. So it's an aggregate. And so as we address this aggregate, we also have to address its modes, plural, its modes of apprehension and perception. Well, again, there's your senses. Your senses are right there. Now, to just finish your question, what is the difference between a dakini and a yogini? A yogini is a female yoga practitioner. So you could be doing hatha yoga and be called a yogini if you've achieved some measure of excellence within the practice. So yogini and dakini are not synonyms at all. However, a meditation practitioner who has achieved certain states of realization, which then would mean that they also have achieved certain powers, cities, they would qualify as a yogini. Again, just a yoga practitioner who has achieved who has accomplished some measure, of accomplishment. But so those two are not synonymous terms. But it stands to reason that all dakinis that started out human were yoginis and just, kept going into enlightenment. So I'm seeing the time, and I'm wondering if I should just say a couple more things about the wisdom line of deities and maybe call it a wrap. How's that? I know.
We're never getting to Chakrasamvara.
No, I know. Well,
That's okay.
Maitreya, I'm sorry, Maitreya's on the compassion line. I want to talk about Maitreya. So let's go back to that. Thank you. Just jump in there. There's so much information, and you know me, I get down these trains, these trains of track.
Distracted.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Take a breath.
There wasn't any negativity. I go with the questions, and then the questions take me down these roads. Maitreya is along the compassion line. Everything that was said about the throne with the mother of the world and things like that all apply. Yesterday we mentioned the color gold or yellow. Maitreya is that. So everything said yesterday about yellow or gold, increase, wealth, abundance. The increase is to increase compassion as well as wisdom. If I recall, Maitreya holds on lotus pads the nectar of long life, and what is the other thing? Do you know, Judy?
Different pictures have them holding different things.
Can you get that, Tonka?
Sure.
Thank you. Just take it right off the wall, huh? Who's in the chair?
Jack.
Oh. Hi.
It's a vase type and wheel.
Let me see. I'll show them too.
Okay, I was just reading that in the book that he holds a base
Right.
For that
That's
presentation.
Maitreya.
in this book
Yeah.
here.
That's a male? Is Maitreya a male?
Yeah, Maitreya's man.
You want me to take it from you?
So interestingly, again, we have the idea that male. No, it's all right. I want to hold it for a minute.
Okay.
Male is compassion. So that's interesting, right? Right there.
Chakrasamvara too.
Chakrasamvara is not alone. Chakrasamvara is a yabya.
Yeah.
So
But she's
You-
wisdom and he's compassion.
hold up, girl. Just hold up.
I'm getting them in here somehow.
Thank you. So we have a Dharma chakra, and that is to say the Dharma wheel on one lotus pad, and we have the long life, the vase that holds the elixir of long life in the other one, and he is in, let's see what mudra he's in. Looks like he's turning the wheel of Dharma with his mudra. So that means that he would keep the Dharma going and bring it to a new ripening. He is on he himself has a lotus under his feet, but he sits on a very royal throne of snow lions. So snow lions speak of accomplishment, of regal, of the king, which of course Maitreya is. He's the Christ, the Lord Maitreya.
Purity as well, because they're white? No?
Yes. I mean, we can't say that they're not because they are white, and then the blue black is the emptiness kind of thing. But snow lions speak of more of the roar. So the roar is about the home. It's about the ultimate nature of mind, and that we must cut through all our perceptions of phenomenal existence. Home. We must cut through our perceptions of phenomenal existence. Because all that's in our mind. So the ultimate nature of mind can only be touched or understood as we cut through all of our perceptions, etc. And in order to do that, it's like we have to roar to ourselves sometimes. You see. Maitreya, I think I already mentioned about feet down for the mother of the world, ready to step into manifestation. And of course, again, because Maitreya, Buddha Maitreya is the head of hierarchy, so he's already actually in the worlds.
Mhm.
You know, we should not think otherwise. I only know a few Pure Land. In fact, I might only know two, but his Pure Land is Tushita Heaven, Tushita, and his palace is the Potala, Potala, and of course that's why the Dalai Lamas built the Potala Palace back in the I don't know, the 800s, 900s to 1100s, somewhere around there. So it is in honor of Maitreya, Buddha of the coming Buddha. I believe that's correct information. And if anybody finds out that that's incorrect, please let us know. I don't want incorrect information, to be established.
I'm curious about the mantras. I don't
Yes,
know if
please,
we're gonna go
please.
with that. There were two. The shorter one, just
Oh,
because
we were
it's-
going to write the mantras so the people would know what we're saying.
Yeah.
Well, tomorrow we'll write mantras down so you can see them on a board. But for now, go ahead, Judy.
Okay, so the shorter one seems to include mother in it, and I was just trying to.
Oh,
figure out where to
Maitri.
put it.
Maitri means love.
Oh, it does?
Yeah.
Okay, because it says, Oh Maitri Maha Maitri Maitreya Soha. That's the
So,
short one.
Om Maitri. Say it again.
Om Maitri Maha Maitri Maitreya Soha.
So, Om Maitri Maha would be Oh, great love.
Okay.
The words are reversed in Sanskrit, but it means Oh, great love. And then what's the next?
Maitri Maitreya Soha.
So, loving Maitreya, or love is Maitreya, so it is. Maitreya is love, so it is. Yeah, when I was doing my recitation, I was reading a footnote, and it gave the Sanskrit of the four immeasurables: love, compassion, boundless joy, and equanimity. And love is Maitri. Karuna is compassion, as we know.
And the other one is very long. I don't know if you want me to read it.
Because if we write it down, then we can pick out a few
Okay.
words that we might recognize. But other than that, no, it's not fair to anybody, actually.
Sure.
But we can look at that. You and I can look at that at least.
Thank you.
Any thoughts or questions before we call it a wrap?
You were going to say something about wisdom.
Well, again, just that essence that there is this fundamental line that's not divided, because all wisdom is the wisdom of compassion, and all compassion leads us to a fundamental wisdom. So they're not separate, and that's the ray, right? Love, wisdom. It's not love and wisdom, it's love, wisdom. I think that what we will find, though, is as we move into Manjushri, because there's one or two people doing that, Chakrasamvara, Samantabhadra, wisdom, Chakrasamvara, wisdom, fundamentally. Mahamudra is a wisdom line. And who else is there I can't think of right now? Who else there might be? So we will just find this kind of line of energy, just as we already have with the compassion. We will find with the wisdom line of energy, just uncompromising. There's an uncompromising quality to it. There's a again, sword, sharp, fire. There'll be implements of destruction, ruthlessness, The five wisdoms will show up a lot, but the five wisdoms show up on any. I mean, does Steve have his five? Yeah, he has his five, his crown of five. So the five wisdoms is across the board, but we will see that the implements of the wisdom line are describing those, as opposed to the implements usually of the compassion line are about action. Now the action might be a meditation action, like learning the skill of penetrating insight. That's the bow and the arrow, usually. But often they will be things like a lotus, the unfolding, the rosary, the crystal rosary. They'll be softer, rounder, things about the links of interdependence, about the interconnectedness of everything. Because as we practice compassion and kindness, we are affecting that just automatically. You see, so we'll just see difference in the implements and things like that. Okay? Thoughts or questions before we go, everybody?
I have a question. I don't know if it's related to this. Does forgiveness enter into Buddhist discussion at all?
Can you say more about that?
Well, the concept of forgiveness is foremost in Christian theology. And I haven't heard the word mentioned as part of compassion or part of wisdom. And so I wondered, is it because it's emptiness and so there's nothing to forgive, or where does forgiveness fit into that?
Yeah, I think that's part of it. And forgiveness it reinforces self on both sides. That's not to say that it's right, that it's right or wrong. That's not a point we should go to. But it reinforces self on both sides. Now, is that really a value for the majority of the path? Yeah, it is. So Tibetan Buddhism doesn't seem to emphasize it because I think that Tibetan Buddhism would say that there are more, and it would be wrathful. It would be wrathful and wisdom, ways to address whatever the issue is that forgiveness is being called for. Now, the Hinayana and the Mahayana might and probably do say something very different. Forgiveness might fall under, and Grace, if you've come across anything, or Linda, I'd be interested to hear. Forgiveness might fall under even generosity, which is one of the perfections. It's the first perfection in the Mahayana.
Loving kindness.
Loving kindness, but is it part of loving kindness? Maybe.
Yeah, giving
But yeah, I haven't
is
heard
one
of
of
it.
the first, that's the first perfection, is just giving.
Right. But, there's no perfection of forgiveness, as an example. Right. It's a good question. You could research it. Like, just do a little Google search and just forgiveness and Buddhism. What's the relation?
Donna,
Yes, hon.
I was reading in one of the books, and they were talking about someone acting unkind to you, and that we should view it as Buddha had sent this person to us to teach us to strength of character or to be stronger in some way. Is that, in a sense, the forgiveness that we're talking in Buddhism?
That is well said. And yes. Did you hear Linda?
I heard her. I didn't.
Mute
quite
again,
get it.
Linda, because it's feeding back. So I'll state it as soon as she mutes out. There we go.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, it's just feeding back. She was saying that in her reading of Buddhist texts, that she came across that it is said that, and this would be a Mahayana or a Hinayana statement, that when someone does injury to us or something like that, that, in fact, we have to look upon it as the Buddha has sent that to us so that we could come to some new realization, new understanding, basically. Now, we have to remember, too, that within Buddhism overall is implicit the understanding of karma. Karma. It's so unquestioned and so fully understood. So even China's invasion and destruction, it is so fully understood from, yes, an impermanence point of view, but from also a karmic point of view. One might, as an individual or as a collective, might not understand or know the sources of the karma, but rest assured they understand that it is karmic. And the Tibetan people would probably say, this is for our hundreds of years of being a warlike nation. And finally that came home to roost. And China was one of the countries that they invaded and took control of. So that too, you see, the understanding of karma being taught from the moment you are born changes things. Is forgiveness even necessary?
Right. That's an important point.
It changes how you interact with everyone and everything, and it also changes on how you receive the actions of everyone and everything. Right. Thank you, Linda. Thank you. Okay? So another full day? We march on. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.